All right, y'all. Well, hello, and welcome to the Sacred Pathway Academy podcast with me, Allison Ronzell. I am the founder, CEO, head mistress of the Sacred Pathway Academy, and I am the hostess with the mostest for this here podcast, as y'all know. And I told you all that this season, I ain't playing with y'all. I'm gonna have me some for real magic going on. So my for real magic today is my for real Leo Sunflower Southern Girl sister, Halicue Hanna. Hey, Halocue.
Hello, Queen Allison. So that's how we refer to Allison on Clubhouse, in case y'all didn't know, our favorite social audio app. Queen Allison, my favorite Leo, my favorite energy healer, out here on Beyonce's internet with that smoky, smoldery voice. I feel like Allison is a fellow Queen of Wands. I am thrilled to be here today. Thrilled.
Well, I am thrilled for you to be here, and I've been waiting for our conversation. You and I had talked about that, of how we're both super excited. So before we jump into the juicy conversation, I got to tell y'all all about Halocue. So Halocue is an intuitive oracle advisor, tarot, I'm oracle, she's tarot advisor, and Akashic record guide. She provides holistic immerse readings that beautifully combine her tarot expertise, intuitive, and healing gifts with the unique richness of her ancestral lineage and culture. Before bringing her gifts to the intuitive business and sacred art space, she worked as an expert and experienced women's crisis counselor, community educator, and program director for over 15 years. Wow. She's the owner of the Gilded Apsara, an online tarot and oracle oasis for women, and the co-creator and co-host of the Pillars, the Porch, and the Path podcast that she does with her sweet sister, Andy. Y'all better check it out. And Halocue is a Leo, and she's also Sagittarius moon, and she brings all the sunshine, warmth, adventurous, exploratory energies associated with her astrological placements into her readings. She delights in all client queries, and she specializes in helping women recover and heal from abusive relationships and toxic environments. So she has a quote here that the tarot is a powerful, centuries-old instrument of divination that she uses, or she says, I use, to help empower and embolden women. It's an ancient tool and art form that really is the modern woman's secret weapon. That is true. It's a power to help. I love its power to help women gain clarity, reclaim their personal power, and receive their own deep inner wisdom. Halocue.
Hey, Allison, that's a little bit about me, just a little bit.
a little something. And I gotta tell y'all, so I met this delightful woman on Clubhouse. And from the first time I heard her say y'all, and I listened to her read cards, I was like, okay, so this is like a soul sister for me, because she started talking about how tarot is her love language, how she helps women, how she empowers them. And she just really just bowled me over with her energy. So I thought it not robbery to bring her here on the podcast. So Halocue,
Allison.
Everything that I read about you, of course, is magical. But one thing I really want to know about is the Gilded Apsara. Where did that name come from?
The name for my company come from, I am, the way everything works with me, Allison, is it all goes back to me being a little Black girl in Mississippi. believe it or not. An Apsara, if you look it up, it's like it's a Hindu and a Buddhist spirit goddess, if you will, of the air and of the water. In their culture, it's like what angels would be like for us. They're very beautiful, they're youthful, they're dancers. I'm a dancer. And the first time I ever saw an Apsara or Apsara dance was as a girl in Mississippi after my grandmother got her first VCR. Y'all know I talk about, I have a, my sister and I have a solid ancestor practice. My grandmother to me really represents the Queen of Swords. Like she was very elegant, very intelligent, very mean, harsh, very smart, light-skinned lady. Like she was the teacher, she was like an Eastern star, but she loved the finer things and she loved the arts, and she always wanted to expose us to it, whether we wanted to or not. So we were the kids that, we were sitting down watching PBS. When Porgy and Bess came on, we were watching, the opera on PBS, and my grandmother loved Rodgers and Hammerstein musicals. And The King and I was one of her favorite movies. So like me and Andy could sing you. We can't sing, but we love that movie. And that's the first time we saw Apsara dance, and Apsaras were dancing out the story of Uncle Tom's Cabin. So imagine me, this little Black girl, seeing this story, like this book that I'd read that was all about the cruelties of slavery, but it's being danced and it's being acted out by like these beautiful dancers. I'd never seen anything like that. Little did I know that it was kind of in my chart, it's in my stars. I'm a Sagittarius moon, my sister's a Sagittarius sun, to travel and explore the world. And when I was in my late 30s, early 40s, I was able to really, really, really start doing that, like with my husband. So we've traveled all over, and I always wanted to start my own business. I'd always loved Apsaras. I thought they were so beautiful. And it was on our last big overseas trip, like a couple of years ago. And we stayed at this hotel in Laos called the Apsara, and there were all these beautiful. I put some pictures of it in the beginning of my business Instagram feed, and when I saw that was like a sign to me. It's time to start the business. I was deciding, am I going to keep working in nonprofits, doing domestic violence, sexual assault work? And I kept praying about it, and I kept consulting the Akashic Records. I was talking to my ancestors about it. I was doing all these rituals to try to figure it out. And when that happened, it came together in a beautiful way for me. I was like, that is the name of this business. That is going to be my totem. I want for each time I pull the cards for a woman, each time I talk on Clubhouse, I want for her to feel like she's beginning an exotic adventure inside of herself. There is no one more interesting, more beautiful, more seductive than you are, really. And I feel like women, women and women identified people, no one is really telling us that, or that we don't deserve to be considered youthful, beautiful dancers, spiritual, powerful. And I wanted each and every time a woman comes to me, we do counseling, or we talk about the tarot, for her to feel like that, like she's starting this beautiful adventure, which is a search inside herself. And so when I saw the name of the hotel, I was like, that's the name of the business, the Gilded Apsara. Also, I'm a devotee. I'm not initiated, but a devotee of a certain Orisha that, my teachers are telling me like I need to get more into. So anything that's yellow, golden, that glows, how it is for us sometimes, Allison, is like, light-skinned girls like down south, people take that yellow thing and they turn it into something very ugly. Yeah. And if we're feeling too good, we're feeling too loud and proud, it's one of the things that's kind of used to, that's just colorism and racism and colonialism. But yellow, as I see your beautiful sunflowers back there, it's how I knew we were kindred spirits. In a lot of ways, it is my power color. Like if it's gold or yellow, it's my power color. It's what reminds me what is special about me, what's light about me. And I study Afro-Brazilian and Afro-Cuban dance. And when I dance that Orisha, it does something to me. It's one of the reasons I got on my spiritual journey. So the Gilded Apsara, that's how all those things come together. I created my business after 16 years of doing, helping and service work. And so that's what I consider it. It's a place where my expertise, my intellect, my wit, it all comes together. And I offer it in service. And that's where it came from. I know it's crazy. I know it's a strange name, but that's how it all comes together for me.
I mean, that's very beautiful. And, I love what you said about how women oftentimes aren't made to feel beautiful and sensual and seductive and be able to be that way just as their individual selves, not necessarily for their partner, but just for them, their absolute individual selves. And what I love about the work that you do is the fact that you give that empowering piece to where women can really step in and say, you know what, I am this, I am beautiful, I am empowered, I am sensual, I can, dance like what Halocue talks about, doing the Brazilian dance, and I can really feel into my body and tap into that sacral chakra energy and just really be so divine and beautiful. And so that's something that I really appreciate about the work that you do.
I'm not gonna get into this now, but I definitely see some kind of retreat like in our future, and I would love to like there's something about dance for me, and a decision that my sister Andy made, and she invited me along, especially studying Afro-Brazilian, Afro-Cuban dance, started me down my spiritual path. I know what was happening to me. This is music, like first time I heard it, I was like, what is this music doing to me? What is going on? What is happening to me? Something is turning over in my spirit. Like I was like, for the first time in my life, I'm getting a little teared. Like I get and I understand when people talk about like your spirit turning over, like in church, except that was my church. Like that's what it was, and learning and understanding the movements and the dance and where it comes from, how it starts in like Yoruba, like right on the west coast of Africa, and how it traveled with the transatlantic slave trade, and how it turned into Candomblé in Brazil and something else. So thank you for bringing that up and allowing me to reminisce about that. And I hope that's what I'm trying to do in these spaces, to the same thing you're trying to do. I hope I'm helping awaken the spiritual, like the spiritual path and journey that we're on as women, especially Black and brown women, because man, people, like, depending on where we're brought up, they put us in a box early on. So like I'm so happy to be in midlife and having this conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the box that we are often put in as Black and brown women, especially in the South, in the South is like, you got to be a church girl. And most of us grow up going to church and being part of church. And, I'm learning more in my journey that, church can still have its place with me. So it's more of this and that versus this or that, as we've been often taught. It's this or that. And that is often deemed as evil or not, supposed to be explored, or opening you up to the dark side, or, something like that, something dramatic and crazy.
Yeah, I want to tell people, like, we didn't need crystal chakras or tarot cards to like, like all of us have shadows like we're working with and dealing with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's jump in to talk about your love language, which is the tarot. Now, what I have to also tell you this. So, if y'all not on Clubhouse, y'all need to get on Clubhouse, like for real. I don't know what people waiting on, but get on there. You'll meet some amazing people on Clubhouse. Indeed. But I gotta tell you, the first time I went into a room, and this is where I actually was introduced to you, you were reading tarot cards. And the way that you read it made it feel so, I don't know, I don't want to use the word normal, but normal. And the way that you did it was because for some people, tarot cards can be a little mystifying and a little mysterious, and like, oh, I don't know if I can look at a card and see, swords and wands and know exactly what that card is telling me. So, can you talk about how you got started with tarot, and what is it about the tarot that just speaks to you so deeply?
Oh, well, how did I get started with the tarot? I always tell people, like, my deep, mysterious journey with the tarot did not happen in some, ceremony under the moon in Mississippi where my grandma Halicue, who I'm named after, I'm a namesake, handed me this old deck of cards. Like, no, 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 like not at all. My folk were pretty like straight laced, like go to church folk. My grandpa Frank was like a minister and a landowner, business owner, and a teacher, and like my grandma Halocue, descended from Choctaw, but basically lived, like lived her life as like the rest of, like a Black woman in Mississippi with her Black family and her Black children. And my grandma, yeah, I told you about my grandma Merle, my grandpa Needham, like teachers, pillars of the community, church every Sunday, like Southern Baptist. So it did not happen in some deep ceremony. I got my first deck in 1995 in the mysterious Barnes and Noble in Peabody, Massachusetts. I was a very young married woman. I think I was 23, about to be 24. Married my husband. Like we met freshman year, started dating sophomore year. I got taken off the market early. Y'all were lucky, because I would have caused some problems. Y'all lucky. Y'all would have burnt me at the stake. They would have been dragging. They would have been dragging me. They would have dragged me out of town, Allison. I'm not lying to you. I would have dealt some damage. But I knew that I was intuitive. I knew something special and magical was going on. I think a lot of that came from Andy and I grew up in a traumatic household. Our father was abusive. Our mother was a domestic violence survivor. So as you can imagine, if you already have intuitive gifts and skills, when you grow up in a traumatic environment, everything is like hyper focused and aware, because you're like trying to see around the corner, because like what's going on, like what's about to happen with these grown-ups, like I can't do anything about it. So how do I keep myself safe? How do I keep my sister safe? How am I there for my mom once all this is over? So I know like trauma had a lot to do with just like, not only changing my brain chemistry, but like putting me, helping me to understand that I was like, I'm getting all these messages, I'm getting this stuff, like I'm intuitive, I'm an empath, I'm a young woman, I'm 23, like I'm 23, 24. And I desperately wanted my own answers. And I saw my first deck in that Barnes and Noble waiting for my husband to pick me up to go to a movie. And it was the New Orleans Hoodoo Tarot. And I'd always loved New Orleans. I loved, New Orleans was a big city for us in Mississippi. Like it's where you go. Of course, there's that history of like New Orleans voodoo and which always called out to me. There was something about the city, like everything about it. I had studied a little bit of Haitian voodoo in African American history and studies and comparative literature, and a lot of wonderful classes at my college. And it called to me, like literally, I've never seen anything on a deck. It was like, buy me, buy me, buy me. And back then, girl, like a $30 purchase in a bookstore was like a big deal. Like, like you just didn't pay what they asked for that. And I still have cards from that deck, and I fell in love with it, but I kept that secret, girl. Like I kept that under wraps. Like I loved it because, anything they told us about, like what we study about the, the Loire or anything like that, it's like devil's work. But I loved it also because I was a student of literature. Like I love movies and pop culture, and tarot is a movie. Like it's a universe. Like people talk about like the Marvel universe, but every single archetype in here is something that resonates with you, and it resonates with me. And this was also at a time when I was figuring out what my career at that time was, and that was domestic violence and sexual assault and reproductive health. And those things came together in a beautiful way for me. But girl, I keep it hidden and under wraps. But it was one of the reasons I was as good as my work as I was, because I could pull these cards out, like what is going on with this situation? What's going on with her? And when I realized how magic it was working in the shelter, working in support groups. If I was having a hard time hammering home a concept, like, okay, in a loving relationship, we need to have fairness, equality, and equity. Like there needs to be equal, power on both sides. Let's pull a card and see if we can find a card that helps us talk about that. Then everybody would stop like rolling their eyes like, here she goes again, and be like, girl, what the card say? What the card say? What my card say for the day? And I was like, oh, okay. So I can use this tool, like not only to see around the corner, to divine, like I can use it to help someone out of a situation, because everyone loves the cards. They get so excited. So that's how I got started. That's how I got started with tarot. And it remains at the bottom of everything that I do from now on. After a little while, I decided like, let me stop trying to hammer my magical self into these. I know you must do so much work with women around this. Stop trying to hammer myself into these roles that I was taught in my culture and from my family who loved me, taught me, because it worked for them, right? Like it worked during Jim Crow, it worked during the civil rights era. it's not about magic and mysticism, because they consider that like voodoo witch doctor stuff, like we're backwards, we're whatever. It's about your education. It's about how articulate you are. It's about how well you present. It's about, you know, how great of a leader you are, like in your community, how ladylike and womanly like you are, but without being sexual. Like, don't be sexual. Like,
That's
don't
right.
be too big. And so that's how tarot kind of came together with me, and how I decided to start the business. And I decided to start talking about it because my dream, Allison, is to actually use the tarot to teach you that anti-violence curriculum. Like, I really see it as being wonderful for teaching that to women and showing these examples and ways for them to go back to and meditate. I'm sure in many of the same ways you teach, you know, your subject matter, like expertise around Reiki and chakra and the energy centers. Like, how do we use this to like find our own answers, to like take care of and heal ourselves? Because if we're sitting around waiting on like the medical industry to do it, or nonprofits or government agencies to do it, ain't gonna happen. I can't help but think, you know, tarot, what I try to do is bring together all of these modern resources and tools and organizations and information with old archetypes, systems, tools that our grandmothers used, whether or not it was a deck of cards or an oracle deck, or reading how the birds fly in the sky, or reading grounds of coffee, or bibliomancy. There are some people that like prophesize like with the Bible, like using these old tools to help find our own answers, those deep answers and that deep inner wisdom that we have inside, that I think all of us are born with. I hope that answered the question.
It did.
Okay.
Because you touched on a lot of things, as far as like when you find something and you're led to, like how you were led to pick up those tarot cards while you were in Barnes and Noble.
Mm-hmm.
You really probably were like, why am I picking these up? Why is this? Why am I attracted to this? I wasn't raised to like this, but why am I picking this up?
Yep.
And a lot of times we kind of, you thankfully were, I would say, obedient to that voice that told you to pick it up. Whereas a lot of other people probably would have just let them stay there, because they would have been like, oh, wait, I can't touch those because I was raised that, you know, we can't do that. But you, being the person that you are, was like, you know what? I'm gonna be a rebel right now. Don't pick these cards up, because my name is Halocue.
Yeah,
and
go ahead and
that's
put that
how
on
I
there.
am.
Go ahead and put that on the credit card. I don't have any business having. Like, it's my credit. Go ahead and put those on there. Can't nobody see me here from Mississippi.
It's that Leo thing. I'm telling you, we most of the time, Leos, we are such rebels. We are such rebels on stuff. So you tell us not to do something, we're gonna do that and then some.
Yeah, and take a picture.
Oh my goodness. So I'm so glad you have some cards.
Yes.
I would love for you to pull some, you know, do whatever you feel is natural right now in this moment. I just love it.
Can I, as I pull the card, could I circle back to part of the question you asked, and I'm afraid I didn't answer it, but it's around like sounding normal, like trying to make the tarot relatable, especially on these platforms, right, Allison? Like, so when you're on, like when you do an Instagram live, or when we're moderating our rooms on like social audio, it's important to me, because who am I trying to help and serve?
Right.
Who am I trying to help and serve? Is this about showing how brilliant I freaking am and how many big words I can use and how I can make these references to Hermetic texts and principles and all this like esoterica and occult stuff, and you know, like to right, like, and to pull up all these books, like, Allison, have we read the books? Yes. Do we know all this stuff? Yes. Are we intelligent people? Do we have libraries? I see all them books, you know, like it looks like, Allison, you came from people who, like me and Andy say, read books, you know, like read and value education and being able to use our, you know, our voices in a way that's intelligent, articulate, comes across. But I'm trying to help the girl that knows that something is wrong in her relationship. She knows something's inside of her is telling her it's not right for her man to grab her phone and go through her stuff. Something inside of her, this could be a 45 or 50-year-old woman that's on the board of directors of a fancy dancy school is a leadership in her community. A woman called on the hotline and said this to me. And this is one of the reasons I started my business, because I was able to, because I was working the hotline. I still work the hotlines as a volunteer. I still keep my training up. I will never, I don't think I'll ever get over being that little girl. Like, I couldn't help my mom. So that was just put on my heart.
Yeah.
I was put on my heart. I need to still be in service. Like, even if I don't need the money, I'm sorry, girl, I'm perimenopausal.
It's okay. It's all right.
Sorry. I need to still be in service. So I know Andy feels the same way. So it doesn't make any sense for me to be on Clubhouse and on Instagram or wherever I'm serving or in a, you know, working privately with a client or teaching people, if I'm just using a bunch of crazy words like esoteric books and stuff that people don't understand. I'm trying to help the woman who, like I said on the hotline, and I knew her when I went back and I looked up, I was like, is this who I think it is? This woman was on board. She's a volunteer. She, you know, her family, there's money, like her kids are on all these teams.
Yeah.
Her question for the hotline was, is it abuse if my husband makes me eat off the floor?
Oh,
that was a question. So that's who I'm talking to. Like when I'm
Yeah.
talking about the tarot and I'm using these cards and the images on these cards, I need to be able to talk about them in a way that helps them understand that this is a tool that they can use, and they don't need some book. They don't need to spend a gajillion dollars to learn. They can buy this right now and just start a conversation with themselves, because what abusive people and institutions and relationships do, they cut us off from everything that is natural, everything that is spiritual. And I need to talk about it in a way and bring people in a way that makes them think, oh, okay, she seems normal and rational and also goes through it, you know, is dealing with, you know, a long-term marriage, these children, these kids, the stuff they send us through, what they send us through, racism, oppression, dealing with political strife and fear about the future, all at the same time, feeling like the more we learn and grow, the systems like the church and stuff that we grew up in to some of us seem disingenuous. It seems wrong sometimes, like people are preying on us and using us, especially like as Black and brown women. I'm not going to get into it right now, but so I wanted to come back to that and say that's, you know, that's what I'm trying to do, and that's what I try to remember. And it's sometimes it's not possible, you know, when we get on these rooms, and particularly if I'm in a room like with you and some other practitioners and healers that I really like, know, and respect, we could take the conversation like real deep and real esoteric. But what I'm trying to do is make it seem like, oh, if nothing else, I can get this deck out every day and check in with myself. Like, what do I want? What do I need? There's even, I hope maybe we can do an Instagram live where we talk about the tarot and different energy centers and chakras, because people have done a lot of writing and thinking on that and different cards that align with different energy centers. And so that's what I'm trying to do. And with that being said, now that I have cried a little bit, and y'all just have to bear with me, because what can I say? I'm 50 and my body is doing
I'm not gonna get and apologize for nothing, because we keeps it real. I keeps it all the way real. I am someone who has been on an Instagram live and talking about my story, and I bust into tears. I kept going because people need to see that there's not a lot of real. And let's be honest, I have to touch on this because you open the door and it's like, we have to make spirituality relatable and make people understand, not make them, but guide them into understanding that it doesn't have to be, you know, I love woo, but it doesn't have to be so woo. And it doesn't have to be over someone's head. You don't have to sit, and I had posted this on Instagram. If you're meditating, it doesn't have to be so hard. You don't have to sit in the perfect lotus pose, using the right hand mudras, you know, saying the right things or anything like that to meditate. Your meditation can be something as simple as turning on your favorite song and dancing in your room and being totally free and uninhibited in that moment. And I also have a huge problem with the people who speak over other people's heads with those big words, trying to sound all deep and everything else. And, you're not helping that person. All you're doing is more about ego. Okay. So yeah, you don't have to be so deep in everything. It doesn't take all that to reach. I'm like you. Who am I trying to reach? I'm not trying to reach that person who already knows everything. That's not the person who I need to work with. I'm trying to reach out to that woman, that specific woman who is sick and tired of being sick and tired. She wants to find answers. She doesn't want you to pacify her. She doesn't want you to, recommend another book. She got them all. She don't need you to come on and start talking, giving her all the 42 laws of Ma'at and Ma'at and all that stuff. She doesn't need that right now. She's looking for healing. She doesn't feel well. She's not feeling right in her body. My mission is and will always be to help women feel at home in their bodies. And I love how with you, you're there to help women, number one, feel safe in their bodies and in their environment, understanding that they can love themselves just enough to get out of a dangerous situation, even if it means they got to go in a shelter for a little while, but still having that way and that means to empower women and speak to them in a way where you basically are just saying something simple like, I see you. I acknowledge your presence. I acknowledge your story. And that's the key to this work. And now I guess that's why I'm on my soapbox, because that's something that is a pet peeve of mine that I see way too many spiritual teachers, healers, and whatnot spending so much time talking over people's heads and speaking in a language of, acting batshit crazy about whether somebody says good morning or grand rising to you. Who the hell cares? If I'm acknowledging you from a place of love, it doesn't matter if I say good morning or grand rising, I'm still trying to acknowledge you and say, hey, I'm wishing you well for the day. So I'm gonna get off my soapbox because it's not about me right now. I'm going back to Halocue.
Yeah. Allison, I truly see like in our future, our clubhouse rooms, like Soul Sister Soapbox, because I've got some things to say about it. I also didn't know we were beefing over good morning versus like grand rising. Like,
Yes.
no, ma'am. You were so right. You were speaking to my heart, and I'm just gonna mention before we, before, because I pulled 3 cards that I hope we can go over and share. I hope you see me right back with some oracle readings. I know, and maybe some recommendations with oils, because we can always take these cards and the oils, like you said, like you make your own rituals, like you create like what's important for you. But one of my favorite teachers, and I hope she becomes a friend. She truly is, like, she's one of my herbalism instructors. She like head of the course that I'm taking, but we're talking about an endeavor and a project. And she said, one of the things I like about you is because you're so relatable. And I said right back, and I was like, it's one of the reasons I left her as a teacher, because I'll never forget going to a workshop she did on entrepreneurialism and manifestation. And I remember the example was kind of like, we can light all the candles in the world, but if we don't follow up with that inspired action, which brings us to one of the cards that I pulled up, the Queen of Pentacles, because this is a queen who is about action and about working and making, like the meme says, I'm putting in the work. I'm doing the work. I love the way she spoke, and she was like, yeah, Halocue, because some of our fellow, teachers, instructors, practitioners, some of them just don't want to be here, Allison. They are really trying to ascend this earthly plane that we're on. They just don't want to be here. They would clearly just rather be someone else, but I'm here. Like, and is the women and women identified people on the back, front, and side of me. I'm the eldest of 6 sisters. I am surrounded by women and girls. I'm the daughter. I'm the the first daughter of the first daughter. You know, I have daughters of my own. I need to be here on earth, like giving this information, guiding, sometimes having to lead, but really mostly just wanting to hold your hand and walk beside you, like as a sister, as we deal with this. Because you're right, like what you said, like so many women, we don't know how to live in our bodies. I didn't. Nobody taught me how to. I mean, did anybody teach me how to like be still and be in your body? You were taught to, you needed to be still and be quiet, not to harass adults and bother them, but nobody ever told me to like do that, to get in touch with myself. And I'm here, like I want to be here. I want to help, and I want to help, you know, the same way you help women like return to body and to spirit. I want to do the same thing too. And the cards, you know, like for me and my study of the cards and using them in my own personal practice, they are not my spirituality. They are a tool that helps me go deeper and stretch my spirituality. And, you know, like that's what I want to do. Because some of us don't know where to start, Allison. We don't know where to start because nobody really taught us. So I always remember that, what she said, that like some of us just don't want to be here. I want to be here, and I want to help you walk this life and live this life and live it out loud. You know, like Jill Scott says, like living my life like it's golden.
Yes.
That's what we're trying, because we get to do that. We don't have to go straight from being this young, vibrant, magical, like young woman to mother phase. Now life is over. That's it. That's a wrap. And you're right when you say that we can express it through even through dance. Like, yeah, I will still sometimes I'll turn to, because all of like twerking and bounce and all that comes from diasporic movement. This is all about like display and show and strength and connection to earth. Like I still will do that. Like I'm like, you know, I may not be out in a club, but I can do it here because I still got it. Like this is what I'm supposed to do. All women are dancers. That's why I call it the Gilded Apsara. When we visit Cuba, when we visit Africa, when we visit different, you know, gajillion countries in Africa and South America, women of all ages are dancing. Like even if you're, you know, like a grandma, there's a section in the samba parade for the grandmas, like with the big skirts. Like we should all be doing that. That's all a part of our spirituality. And I'm going on and on because, you know, I'm a talker, but that's why Kindred's, you know, like game recognizes game. That's why we're that's why we're here together talking. But I did want to say that about the Queen of Pentacles. I you know, this is about us. When we look at Queen energy, and I'll take a picture of this photo, and I'll try to share screen, or hopefully everybody can see it. This is one. I'm going to turn the light off so it's not messing it up too much. But this is about a woman who is grounded. I thank you for that grounding exercise you put me, you know, and experience you put me through getting started, because I was all over the place. A woman who's grounded, deeply connected to earth energy. She is a grown woman. She is mature. She is on her grown woman. And whenever we see the Queen of Pentacles, it makes total sense that this would come up as you and I were talking, because this is about truly stepping into and owning your grown woman. You have a gift that it's time to come to the center stage. Now, you may not want to be in the center stage as Leos. Me and Allison, like, no problem. What? Where's the stage? Like, really, I got my good earrings on. As my sister Andy says, when I do my off the shoulder, she's like, "Uh-oh, Halocue got that shoulder out. Got that good Halocue's got that good shoulder out. She's ready to show.
Ready to do it. Ready to
show out today." So like Allison, I don't have any trouble with that, because in many ways we're Queen of Wands, but we're also Queen of Pentacles. And that means that it's time for what we make, what we create here on the physical plane, putting in the work to deliver a service or something that is going to serve. It may be in our kitchen, it may be in our home office, right? Because that's what the Pentacles are about: home, body, career, finances, projects. Allison is a Queen of Pentacles. Allison's always rolling out, like with every season, it's a new service, it's a new opportunity, a new workshop. That is that Queen of Pentacles energy. And so that's what we get started with today. And I just wanted to share that with everybody. And so that's what I think of when I see this card. Like, do we see how that's like, you know, whether it's Allison's oracle card that she uses and she shares, or if she's experiencing you know, like a plant spirit or an oil this day, if there is a particular crystal or a particular energy center or chakra, this is the anchor. I'm going to think about this today. I'm going to use this today. I'm going to ask myself, what about my grown woman is ready to come to the center stage today? What work project or career thing do I need to work on today? Because people need it. Like Andy always says, Andy says, my sister says that she gets up and says this to her family, y'all, let's get up. We got to give it to him. We got to give it to him. And I'll never forget. I was like, Andy, what are you talking about? Like, who? She goes, the people. I was like, we got to get the people what? She goes, we got to give it to them, Halocue. Why? And I was like, Andy, I don't know. She goes, because they want it. So like, that's what every time I see this card, I'm like, all right, the people need something. What do I need? Like, the people need it. What do they want me to give? What do they need? And the cards give me an idea of where to start thinking about it. What in my work, in my business, what am I creating in my kitchen? What am I cooking up? What am I making with my hands? Because that's what the pentacles are about. Or what is it about my connection to the earth that I need to share with people? That's what it is. That's the Queen of Pentacles. So that's just to give you an example of how I use that card to help ground me, center me, remember. And when I fly off the handle today, when I lose track of time or there's something I start rushing, I can think of this and I can think, oh, that's right, Allison, another queen, calmed me down today. And she said, we need it. I'm super emotional on perimenopausal day. Forgive me for this. But I'll remember the gift you gave me of that moment of quiet and clarity. And that's what we're trying to get women to do.
Yes,
like, that's why
absolutely.
we do this, so we can hang out together, so we can teach each other how to do this. I'm gonna remember this. All right, I can always drop in. I can always, get the ground, get that root chakra. Like, I can always ground in. And that's a gift that you gave me, because in addition to being a Queen of Wands, you're a Queen of Pentacles.
Yeah. Well, I love that. What's the next card you got?
Oh, one of my favorites. I didn't used to like this, but Allison, I think it says something about what is happening in the future of spirituality and a revolution among women, and especially Black and brown women. This is the Wheel of Fortune. This means the wheel is turning. The wheel is turning. The only thing we can prepare for is change. That's all we can prepare for is change, and positive change. Yes. So I think as we talk about spirituality, our modalities, like what it is we use to help us connect with spirit, to understand our own divinity, to share it. I think a change is change is coming. And this is why when I read articles like, why are people leaving the church? I'm like, I know why people are leaving the church. And I'm not telling you to leave the church, because for some people that is their, that's how they do it. Oh, and forgive my nails, y'all. I gotta get my nails done today. But this is what it's a hot mess. Like my nails are not cute right now. And tarot readers should always have cute nails, but we can talk about glamour and glamour magic another day. But what the Wheel of Fortune teaches us and tells us is that things are changing. This paradigm is shifting. And I think when it comes to spiritual women, how we express our spirituality, and also what I want to do in my work, Allison, and I bet you probably want to do something similar too, or some little, I bet we have this vein in common, is I think the way that we help women discover liberation, begin their liberation sequence, begin to live in their bodies, connect to their bodies, learn how to connect to spirit, however it is they do it, is changing. I don't know if it's going to be done at the doctor's office and if you can afford the therapist's office, or in the nonprofits like I used to work at and run. I think it's shifting. I think people are going to be looking, that are trying to liberate themselves, free themselves and heal. They're going to be looking to practitioners. They'll be looking to their yoga instructors. They'll be looking to their Reiki practitioners. They'll be looking to readers and diviners to learn these different, these modalities and these skills and these practices, so that they can start finding their own answers and connecting to the divine. So that's what I think and I see and I feel when I look at this card, the Wheel of Fortune. And we have to always remember, and Andy and I talk about this in our podcast. Our podcast is called The Pillars, the Porch, and the Path. We talk about this wheel a year. Change is coming. It's not necessarily comfortable. Ain't nobody said it had to be comfortable. Right. Ain't nobody say it had to be comfortable. It was going to be comfortable. But it's coming. And finally, the last card, 9 of Cups. The cups correspond to our emotions, to the element water. Oh, and this just shows us we have so much. We have such a rich emotional life, possibilities, relationships. I think, Allison, once you get to be like our age, like if we're on a path, if we understand discernment, and we understand discernment and judgment in a way, a 20-something can't. Y'all, some of y'all are born enlightened and had been here before. Some of us aren't. Like me and Andy joke about our 20s, like was just a condition. Like just our 20s were just a condition. Like, and we had a lot of stuff going for us.
But I mean, that's also the time though. When we were in our 20s, the quote unquote new age spirituality wasn't quite as available And if we practice it, it had to be on the low. You know, you dare not say, you know, oh, you know, mom, dad, I want to go into the occult store. I want to, you know what I'm saying? You wouldn't say that. So, you know, the 20-year-olds and some like early 30, I guess, I think the access and the acceptance is just a little better now, fortunately. But I know when I was in my 20s and teens and stuff, even though stuff like that secretly fascinated me, I dare not say, oh, I want to buy a deck of cards with African goddesses on it and talk about it and stuff. No, that wasn't. Are you kidding me? No, that wasn't gonna happen.
No, you were. Oh, you're right. Like, it's funny how this changes, because Allison, like me and Andy, and Andy's always the leader, and he's always the one kicking open the door, and the rest of us just flood through. You know, the rest of the sisters just get to. Well, Andy kicked it open, so we might as well just walk on through. If you never told me, like, I'd be planning a trip to the Carolina coast to visit, the Gullah and the Geechee Islands to study that and spirituality. And I was bringing my mama with me, and that we were going to be going to all the shops, all the stores, doing our meditation circles with the sisters and all. If you'd ever told me that I'd be in a position to do that with my mother, the elder of the church, I'm not going to get into it. Mom has this long, very important political career, but if that I'd be doing that, Allison, no, because when you say like store and you even went to like pick up the cards, I was like, couldn't happen. It couldn't happen in my 20s. But now I just want to say, like, that's what happens when we step in. And yeah, I know you talk about this, when we step into the fullness of who we are. No one can mess with you, and no one can, no one can touch you. You know at the bottom of it that you are going to be okay, right? And even at the end of the end, like, oh, I get to be an ancestor. I'm gonna be an amazing ancestor. Y'all better pull out the good stuff for me. I tell my daughters, don't act like y'all don't know what I don't like, and don't act like y'all don't know what I like, that you don't know what I'm about, how I'm gonna be present in your lives. Like, even that, Allison, the thing that terrified me the most when I was a little girl, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. Yeah. Something's going to happen to my mom, my dad. My mom's going to die. Like, I'm going to die. Yeah, not anymore, because my spirit's right. Because, like, come on, because I'm like on a path, and it doesn't cost me anything. I don't have to pay a pastor. I don't have to pay for his Cadillac. I don't have to pay for, I don't have to be giving some man a love offering. No, I give myself my own love offerings. I give of myself to my friends, my family, to my ancestors, my family, and my spirit. That's what I give to. So, and so that's what I think when I look at the 9 of Cups, how we're almost at the 10, which is the apotheosis of emotional fulfillment. We're proud of what we have. We're proud of our emotional growth, our spirituality. This image really shows, he's one of my favorite dudes in the tarot. He shows this kind of big guy, this kind of wealthy, and he's invited people to like a big banquet, and behind him are these 9 cups. And it's basically showing, look at how emotionally healthy, happy, sound, high vibrational, and in tune I am. Welcome to my table. Welcome. And this is why I love this card so much, because it shows, and I can't help but think of us together, like our communities, like how far we've come, but we still got that 10th cup to get. Yeah, we can get it too. Like, we can add, we're still on a path, and we can get it, and we will. And so those are just what I wanted to share with the collective and with your beautiful audience today. That's what I have. And I will take a picture of this too, so if you want to share it with your audience, they can get into it with us.
That would be beautiful. So, Halocue, our conversation has been so uber juicy, and I knew it was going to be. So I want you, even though her contact information is going to be in the description, I still want you to just tell people where they can find you. Talk about anything you're offering right now also.
Okay. Oh, well, oh goodness. This is, autumn, so I'm teaching up the wazoo. So I'll be teaching tarot. I'll be teaching my signature Tarot 101 class, which is a 3-hour offering. I do it in concert and in collaboration with a tech startup called amava.com. Almost all of my online offerings and teachings are available through them because they do that delicious like that channel work, like getting it all set up. So there's Tarot 101 and jumping into a deep dive into the major arcana, which is a part of the Heroine's Journey series, which is getting you familiar with those first 22 cards of the tarot deck, the ones that people get really excited about, like those big energies, like the Wheel of Fortune. We're going to do a deep dive into each card. And that's coming up. And for people to find out about that, go to my Instagram profile. My Instagram handle is at the Gilded Apsara. Allison's going to have it down in the show notes. That's a wonderful way to get in touch with me to access any and everything I'm doing. I am the co-host and co-creator of a podcast. I'm a fellow podcaster with Allison, who will hopefully be coming to guest host on our podcast in season 2. It's called The Pillars, The Porch, and The Path. Allison, I'm not really interested in hearing about Reiki or chakras from anybody else except you. So I was like, so you and another friend of ours are going to be on herbalism for that episode, but for you on chakras and energy centers to give us a teeny bit of a foundation of what you do. Hopefully we'll be coming on the podcast. It's called The Pillars, The Porch, and The Path. It's on all of your favorite streaming platforms. That comes to you every week. Where else can you find me? Of course, on Clubhouse. My handle on Clubhouse, you can just look up my name, Halicue, but or Tarot Apsara. I'm on Clubhouse. I offer tarot journaling, a Queen of Wands room. I do a combined reading room on Fridays. I'm also in a Women of Color Beginning Podcasters panel that I really love because I love podcasting. I think it is the excellent way for people like Allison, for people like me to use sword energy in the tarot. And swords is all about our voice. It's about our the power of our minds, our intellect, our intelligence, our wit, the way we're able to use language to communicate. So that's a place you can find me, and I love the most. It's one of my favorite social media platforms on Clubhouse. So you can find me doing, and Allison too, doing lots of offerings there. And those are the main places. Of course, I'm on Twitter and all that, like just being silly. But those are the places you can find me: Instagram, Clubhouse. My website is called thegildedapsara.com. I have an awesome blog there that I'm going to be blowing up and making bigger. I like to, when I discuss the tarot cards, I'm not just giving you the meanings of the tarot card, which is important, but I'm also giving resources and advice and counsel for those of us that are still trapped in abusive relationships. Every single card I explain from the perspective, and hopefully giving resources and hope to folks that are still trapped in emotionally, physically, spiritually abusive relationships. So I'd love for you all to check out the website, thegildedapsara.com, and that is pretty much where you can find me. I also, last but not least, I do read in person. I think it's important for women like me, women like Allison, we may do it in different ways, but to be available to the community.
Yes.
They're young people, young men, women like need people like us. You used to be able to just go to her house, or you would hope you would catch her on the way to wash clothes or whatever, right. Or like go to the grocery store to be Miss So-and-so. Can you read the cards for me, or da 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 da? So I still like reading for people in person. I read at 2 beautiful brick and mortars. One is called Botanical Life in Larkspur, California. I do Friday night tarot there, and you can book that directly through a link in my smart bio, or drop by the store. And also at a wonderful shop called the 11th House that's in Fairfax, California, in Marin County. 2 of the coolest spaces, and I like being available to people. And it's good for someone to, like, they don't have to deal with Zoom. They know I'm there, Yeah. Like they know I'm there, and right. They can cruise in. And if they can't get an appointment, I can at least pull a card for them and tell them when they can get an appointment. Those are all the places I am right now, Allison. Thank you for letting me share it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I want to make sure that people, that listen are able to find you. Like I said, I am going to put all of that in the description. Halocue, I thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come and speak with me. So I wanted to pull a card from a new deck that I have from Abiola Abrams, African Goddess Rising Oracle, and they are beautiful. Let's see what card I pulled. All right. Mama de Jambo. Mama de Jambo.
Write this down. Beautiful.
You can see my ring light because they are glossy.
Oh, I love a glossy, like
Yeah.
heavy card.
Me
That's
too.
beautiful. So rich.
And the word is shine. Shine. And I was like, as soon as I flipped that over and saw that, I was like, me and Halocue, Lord have mercy. We not afraid to shine.
Nope.
Nope.
Never
So
scared. Nope.
that's right. So I'm still learning these cards and getting to know them, but they do not disappoint. And I guess for me, the closing message here is understanding that with this shift that's happening in the atmosphere right now, it's our time to shine. It's our time to step forth and really own our power. And if you need guidance in that, the guidance is out there. You have to put it out and speak with your mouth what it is that you need, and then you will find it. And luckily for you, you're listening to the Sacred Pathway podcast, and you got Halocue on here. So you better hit her up and, get you some help from Halocue, who's going to read them tarot cards and get you right.
Ooh. Oh my God.
So,
I love it. Help from Halocue, Allison. You just gave me a new clubhouse room.
there you go. Help from
Halocue.
Halocue.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, thank you so much, dear sister. I appreciate you gracing our stage, our platform with all of your beauty, your insight, your wisdom, your fun. I knew this was going to be so much fun, but I think I undersold it to myself because you over delivered on it, and I just appreciate so much, my sister.
I'm not gonna come on here tripping with you. Like, of course I'm trying to.
I mean, of course, you got two Leos here who love sunflowers, and we're Southern girls. So
yes.
Yeah, we just needed like some tea or lemonade or something, but we'll have that next time.
Yes. Wait till we do our Beyonce lemonade retrospective.
There you go.
Y'all not ready. Y'all not ready for all this content. Y'all about to get. Y'all not ready for this. That's all right. We're gonna get you ready.
We'll get you right too. All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining me here on the Sacred Pathway Academy podcast with me, Allison Rozelle. Had so much fun. If you are in a place where you can leave comments, leave me some comments. What resonated with anything that we said? Did you enjoy it? Did you be like, y'all talk too much? I still want to know. And if you're listening to this on Apple, please give me a review, rate, whatever they have on there. And I just appreciate you so much. I do not take this work lightly at all, and I do not take it for granted. It is my love, it is my passion to bring good information to you. So thank you again. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye for now.